Have you got your breath back yet? What an incredible day of drama at Anfield. Liverpool somehow coming away with a 4-3 win against Fulham despite trailing 3-2 going into the final 10 minutes of normal time. I mean, it just was an incredible atmosphere here in those final moments, and Liverpool really looked dead and buried. I think they could have had a few complaints, really, if you're truthful, if they'd have come away with a 3-2 defeat from this one, because I think Fulham were really impressive in their performance and Liverpool maybe not so. I mean, in the first half, Liverpool, they scored 2 stunning goals, but Fulham are completely in the game. You know, they can't be blamed for those stunning goals. They managed Liverpool's threat really well. Liverpool's attack never really clicking, and I think that's actually true of the game as a whole, despite them scoring 4 goals. Fulham really managed that, and then they showed so much threat of their own on the counter and from set pieces. Set pieces was something, of course, that Jurgen Klopp mentioned in the pre-match press conference, said that Fulham were going to be a threat from those, and they really showed it. Liverpool really struggled to get to grips with those, apart from when they just effectively stopped giving set pieces away, and that's how they ultimately managed that threat and came through with this dramatic win. And I think you see Jurgen Klopp giving the fist pumps at the end to the cop behind me, and I think that's not just because of the dramatic nature of the win, but because I think he knows that Liverpool maybe got away with one today, because the performance wasn't what you'd expect. It was a poor one. It was one where you maybe think that the tiredness that comes with playing in the Europa League on Thursday and then coming into a Sunday game, I think we saw that for the first time this season. But even then, even with Liverpool playing as poorly as they did up to the sort of final 5 minutes or so, he still felt like they had a chance. They were 10 wins from 10 at Anfield this season coming into this game, and now 11 from 11 because of moments like that. They're never beaten at Anfield. You've got this crowd behind you, and the noise they made in those final moments clearly made Fulham panic. It made it difficult for them, and when the team and the crowd are in synergy like that, there's no place like this. It was just an absolutely remarkable win, an incredible afternoon, and such a privilege to be here. I think Jurgen Klopp coming away from this game, he will have question marks over the fact that Liverpool didn't quite click in attack, as I mentioned, didn't really carry the threat that you'd want from the forward line. I thought all the forwards weren't particularly fantastic today, and also defensive questions when you concede 3 at home. But I think ultimately sometimes you've just got to come away and say, okay, that was a crazy game. We had the tiredness from the Europa League, and we've still somehow come away with an incredibly dramatic win. And for Liverpool, if they want to put together a title charge this season, they just have to keep winning games. They had to follow up that encouraging point against Manchester City. They had to get a win here in this game, and by hook or crook, they've managed it. And sometimes you've got to write it off and say, well, it doesn't matter how we got the 3 points. I'm sure you'll want better performances going forward, but sometimes if you're involved in a dramatic game like this and you come away with the 3 points, maybe just write it off and don't think about it again and keep moving, particularly in this festive period that's going to be so busy. You're not always going to see Liverpool play well, so maybe you're going to see more games like this where they're going to have to nick it late on or show that real grit and determination, and what a show of grit and determination it was today. So I'll talk about the performance now and go into how the players played. I'll start, of course, with the goalkeeper. Quinton Kelleher, there was a bit of a spotlight on him coming in today because obviously he's replacing Alisson Becker, and to be honest, I don't think he particularly covered himself in glory around the Fulham goals. The second one in particular, where Tete pokes it in at the cop end, really stood out as a poor moment of goalkeeping. I mean, he's so calm in possession and looked really good, and we actually saw it against Toulouse in midweek that he is a good shot stopper. He can, but he's not quite at Alisson Becker's level. That's probably unfair to say given that who is, but I think we did see some weakness from Kelleher. I think this would have been a bit more of a straightforward win for Liverpool had they had Alisson Becker in goal. Only 4 games or more to go, or is it 3 more games to go until he's hopefully back against Manchester United. So Liverpool are going to have to try and protect the goalkeeper as much as he can in that period, because as I say, Kelleher is just not quite at Alisson Becker's level, and I think we saw that around the goals today. So not a great performance for me from the goalkeeper, and Liverpool really, they just have to grind through this period until they can get Alisson Becker back hopefully soon. I'll move into the defence now. Trent Alexander-Arnold, I mean, he gets so much criticism at times, doesn't he? I thought he was absolutely world class in everything he did today. I think some of his defending was really good up against Alex Iwobi down that left hand side in particular. He really sort of kept Iwobi out of the game for long periods of this game, and then what he did going forward, just remarkable. The free kick, I think he's going to get that maybe taken off him, maybe will go down as a Leno own goal, but what a strike that is in off the bar. We saw the customary silence in celebration as well, which was nice to see again, and then obviously he scores the winner at the end. Just, it makes you think this is why Jurgen Klopp wants him in midfield. I mean, he does actually move him into midfield in the second half, and I thought he looked really, really accomplished there. That was a bit of a risk, really, because I don't think Liverpool had showed a lot of control in that position, and people talk about Alexander-Arnold like he's not a natural in that position, and yet I thought he did really, really well. I thought Liverpool looked as controlled as they had at any point in the match, really, once Alexander-Arnold went in there. And we see with the finish, that's why you want him in central positions. He strikes the ball so well. He has the calmness and the composure in that moment. The crowd is up and everything, and he still runs onto it, strikes it really cleanly, makes sure he gets his knee over the ball. It's a brilliant strike, a brilliant moment. You have to say it's almost Steven Gerrard-esque in the way he struck the ball, and that late arriving in the box maybe gives the manager something to think about in terms of what he does there in midfield. Does Trent Alexander-Arnold start games in there for Liverpool sometimes? I think that should be a genuine option that Liverpool consider now, because I think when he went in there he really pulled the strings, and as I say, he had the goal threat, his ability to sort of break the lines as well. He drives forward in an almost Gerrard-esque sort of way as well, sort of similarly to Szoboszlai when he's really on song. So I think for me that Trent Alexander-Arnold could maybe be an option there, and we saw exactly why today with his goal, and a huge moment for him. Moving alongside him in defence, so talk about Joel Matip. He gets an injury here, unfortunately. We hope that's not too serious, because I think he's had the fact he starts this game shows that he's really in Klopp's thinking, and maybe ahead of Konate in the pecking order at the minute. But I thought everything he did up to that point, he looked largely composed, and we know he's a good player. I think he's played really well this season, and I don't think you could lay too much at his door in terms of what happened around the goals. I just thought, and like I say, I still think it's a real blow if he's got an injury that keeps him out for too long. He seemed to turn his ankle and immediately signalled to come off, so we'll have to see what happens there. Alongside him, Virgil van Dijk. He wins 6 aerial challenges in the game here, I've gotten written down, but I actually think this is one of the rare games where I've seen someone actually give him trouble across the 90 minutes. I thought Raul Jimenez won more headers than I can remember any other striker doing it. Again, not a poor performance from Van Dijk, some real moments of class as well in his defending, and even though Liverpool concede 3, again, I don't think there's any you could sort of put at his door, but like I said, Jimenez winning those headers, it actually allowed Fulham to get up the pitch, and that was a lot of where their threat came from, was those long balls. It's just so unusual to see him lose an aerial challenge, so that's why it really stood out to me. But not a poor performance by any means. It was just one of those games where Fulham kept the threat, and I think a lot of the problem stemmed from the fact they seem to be walking through midfield and exposing that defence, which reminds you almost of what was going on a lot last season. Now, alongside him at left back, Kostas Tsimikas, possibly up there as one of Liverpool's best players in this game for me today. I think he's had his knockers, hasn't he, for so long, in terms of people who really don't rate him, and I've defended him many times on this channel because I think he's a really, really strong option as a backup left back, and I thought he was absolutely marvellous today. His form recently actually has been brilliant, and I think it's sort of proven by the statistics today. 3 tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 clearances, 4 key passes, including setting up the winner with the knockdown. I thought a brilliant performance. You really have to give Tsimikas credit because he is playing fantastically at the minute, and Liverpool could have been really missing Andy Robertson, and Tsimikas made a poor start when he first came in to back him up, but I think he's really come into form in recent weeks, and another really good performance. One of the few players who, if Liverpool had come away and lost 3-2, he would have still come away with credit for me. I thought he was absolutely brilliant today. Moving into midfield, McAllister, what a goal, by the way. We had an unbelievable angle. We were right behind it as it curled into the top corner. Brilliant strike. I'll be honest, I was kind of surprised to see him taken off when he was. I thought, even though Liverpool weren't perfectly controlling things in midfield, I actually felt like McAllister was playing quite well. He was nicking in, he was getting the ball, getting it moving, and obviously scores a wonderful goal as well. So I was kind of surprised that he was the one who was taken off there. Maybe you will think differently, let me know in the comments, but I thought he was playing well. Dominic Szoboszlai alongside him, one of his quieter games. I think he is quietly not in that top form that we've seen him since he came into Liverpool. He made obviously an incredible start where he was so influential. He seemed to be racking up 4 or 5 key passes a game, so involved in the attacking play, but the fact he gets taken off today, I thought signalled the fact that he's not quite playing at that level at the moment. Maybe the international break has took a little bit out of him, and hopefully we'll see him back to his best soon, but I don't think he's playing fantastically well at the moment, and I think the fact that Liverpool needed goals and he still brought him off, Jurgen Klopp, I think that sort of says that his form is not quite there. Hopefully he can get back up there quickly. Also in midfield, Ryan Gravenberch. For me, quite a poor game from Gravenberch. A big reason why Liverpool didn't really control things perfectly throughout the match. He ends the game with 75.6 passing accuracy, which is quite low, and just 1 key pass, which shows that, yes, he was giving the ball away, but it wasn't in pursuit of making opportunities. He wasn't constantly laying shots on for his colleagues. I just think it was a mixed performance, really. I didn't think he played fantastically in midweek, actually, and I was kind of surprised not to see Curtis Jones brought on for Gravenberch quite early in the game, really. I was surprised by that, because I think Gravenberch, one of his poorer games he's had for Liverpool. Obviously, like with Szoboszlai, that is going to happen this early in the Liverpool career. They're still getting used to the demands. They're coming up against teams who they've not played before, opposition they don't know that well, so they're going to have games like this. But that, the fact that those two together didn't quite hit the heights today. Was a big reason maybe why Liverpool sort of struggled to control Fulham in the midfield area. Into the forward line, Mohamed Salah, I mean, he ends the game with 5 key passes and he sets up Endo for the equaliser, so that's a big contribution as far as I'm concerned. But he has played better before, absolutely. You know, he's done better with opportunities. He's been more dangerous in games this season, so it wasn't quite the game for him. But I think that was partially down to the fact that the front line as a whole, much like the midfield, probably didn't play actually particularly well, despite, again, 4 goals scored today. I just didn't think it quite worked. But Salah was probably the standout of the starting front 3, and that's because I think Darwin Núñez, he starts the game and he hits the bar, but he's struggling a little bit for me, not quite hitting the heights again. We saw so many encouraging performances from him at the start of the season, but that has tailed off a little bit recently. He's not been quite there. I think that the one he hits the bar with, he should probably do better in terms of getting that on target. He has a couple of half chances he again should probably do better with. I think we are going to see peaks and troughs from him in terms of his form, and I think it is 6 games without a goal for Liverpool now, so his form has tailed off a little bit, so he needs to get that back. Still loads of encouraging things in his game, but you know, you want to see him get back to form soon, particularly because Cody Gakpo is playing well at the moment, and maybe he's in contention to start quite a few games over this festive period, so we'll have to see how that one plays out. The one thing I think has tailed off a little bit from Núñez as well is his hold-up play. We saw real development in that. We want to see that again. We want to see him get back to those heights and hold on to the ball a little bit better, especially against physical sides like Fulham, who could so easily hit the ball up to Jimenez, and he seemed to hold it more frequently, even though he was up against Virgil van Dijk. On the left wing, Luis Diaz again. Not a great game from him. I thought, you know, he's going to have to play a lot over this festive period because Diogo Jota's out, and he does actually have 5 shots in this game, 4 of which he gets on target, but none of them really test the goalkeeper. He can play better than he did in this game, and has maybe been doing recently. So I didn't think he was absolutely fantastic, but again, sometimes this is going to happen in games. All your front line aren't going to play well. Sometimes all your midfield are going to struggle, or certain members of your midfield are going to struggle. If you can still come away with a 4-3 win, then that says a lot about you as a team, and the fact that you were obviously got incredible character, and that you're a team who's worthy of putting together a title challenge. So we'll have to see if that proves to be the case. But I think a very important win, considering, as I say, I've gone through the list here and I didn't actually think so many players played particularly well for Liverpool today. Just want to quickly talk about a couple of the subs. Endo, what a finish that is to curl it into the top corner. He passes it in. That is such composure. I've spoken before about the fact that we've seen a little bit more on the attacking side than the defensive side from him since he came in, and that just really added to it. Unbelievably composed finish to just curl that into top corner. He literally passes it in. It was absolutely brilliant. He's a better footballer than I maybe expected. I thought he'd be someone who comes in and really breaks up play and plays the short passes, but he's got more in his locker, and I think he really helped get Liverpool back on the front foot when he came into the game. I was surprised it wasn't Jones thrown on ahead of him actually. So a really influential performance from Endo. Again, I thought he played well in midweek, so been really, really impressed by him so far this season. Some really good performances. It's great that he can be an option in games like this in the Premier League. He is getting there now. He spoke, in fact, in the mix zone in midweek about the fact he feels like he's learning more now, and he feels like he's ready to make a big impact, and maybe we saw the start of that today. Really, really good performance off the bench. Another couple who I want to speak about, Joe Gomez. He's such a brilliant option at right back. He's so good down that right hand side. He's not quite Trent Alexander-Arnold level with the ball at his feet, but he knows where to be. He can put that cross in. He's an underrated footballer going forward, and again, massively influential in terms of getting Liverpool back on the front foot here. And similarly, I would say the same about Cody Gakpo. I thought another good performance from him off the bench, in terms of, because the thing he did that Núñez wasn't doing throughout the game is he's keeping the ball and helping Liverpool get up the pitch. We know how good he is in terms of doing that, and I think we saw that again today. He was really, really good, and as I say, got Liverpool back on the front foot, and that helps them come away with an incredibly dramatic 4-3 win. So that pretty much sums up my thoughts on the game and who I thought played well. Please do let me know as ever in the comments, who was your man of the match, who did you play well, who did you think didn't play particularly well, and what did we really learn from this game? Let me know in the comments, and as ever I'm going to ask you if you can please like and subscribe. It helps me reach more Liverpool fans. I want to get these videos out there to as many supporters as I can, and thank you as ever for watching, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.